11, why don't you follow me down to the brewery? I'll tie a bowling ball to my ankle, dive in the vat of beer. I'll leave this world the same way I entered my marriage, dead drunk.
Hello.
Want a beer?
Hook it up.
Yeah. Hook me up.
Yo, Herb, take it from the top. 1, 2.
Beer?
This is how we do it.
My mic sound nice, check 1. My mic sound nice, check 2. My mic sound nice, check 3. Are you ready?
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
You like parties? Yeah. We can invite all our friends and have soda and pie.
Yeah!
I hope no bad people show up.
My mic sounds nice, check 1. My mic sounds nice, check 2. My mic sounds nice, check 3. My mic sounds nice, check 4. My mic sounds nice, check 5. My mic sounds nice, check 6.
Are you ready?
You want some of this milk?
I'd rather have a beer.
What do you guys give me if I kill that bird? Barbara, that's a bald eagle. Get away, Baldy! Yeah!
Hello! Good evening, and double good evening. It's a scorch out there. This is the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve, NPS. Here, virtually live on GovsRadio.com. We were also live on Facebook and live on YouTube. Go to the GovsRadio.com channel and check us out for all of our live shows every other Monday here on GovsRadio.com. Also, you can go into our archives. Yes, we have archives, and you can check out all of our other 62 episodes over the last 2.5 years. Check it out. Old shows with Steve, which was a good time as a guest, and the evolution of Steve becoming part of our show, the third part of our tripod on the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve. Let's get into some sponsors.
Whoa! Well, when does the docuseries, The Evolution of Steve Favinsky, when is that premiering?
It's going to be out on 30 for 30 at ESPN.
There you go. Okay.
There's no athleticism involved. It's just Steve drinking beers.
Cracking cans.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
Let's get into our sponsors. Tonight's episode is sponsored by Brewbag. Go to brewbag.com and get your Brewbag, your cornhole, the beer pong in one outdoor fun activity. Go to brewbag.com. Also go to our Instagram page and go into our bio, and there's a link to a page that gives you 10% off. Yes, 10% off your Brewbag order. Go to brewbag.com. Big shout out to Brewbag tonight. Also, we are sponsored by VintageBeerShirtClub.com. VintageBeerShirt.club. I see, I told you I wouldn't get it 3 times in a row. That's it. I stumbled. VintageBeerClubShirt.com. And grab your vintage beer shirt. Some cool designs, cool logos, very nostalgic. Check them out. Type in the promo code WORT, W-O-R-T. Oh, Nelson's so cute. Can we get Nelson on a Vintage Beer Shirt Club t-shirt? That'd be awesome.
He's already on a shirt.
Yeah,
I saw.
That smirk is great.
It's a constant smile. Let's put a smile on that face. Go to VintageBeerClubShirt.com and get your shirt today. Steve, take it away with Rosie's Draft Solutions.
Yes, Rosie's Draft Solutions, located in Patchogue, family-owned. Nick, the owner, they basically do everything. When we had the brewery open, they did our cleaning for us and did a great job. They actually, if you're not even a professional brewer, if you're a home brewer and you have a kegerator, you can set it up for you, clean out the lines, change out the lines, all that good stuff. You can reach them at rosiesdraftsolution.com, 631-219-2075. If you have an emergency, they will come at any hour basically to help anybody out. Again, Nick does a fantastic job. He changed out a bunch of parts that we had that were broken that we didn't even know about. That's how detailed they are. Again, rosiesdraftsolution.com for all your cleaning and draft usage.
There you go. And now if you talk to Nick.
Everybody sorry.
I was going to say talk to Nick and tell him the Wort sent you.
Yes.
They had just cleaned the lines and certified the lines clean and ready for use at our buddy Mark's Hopscotch in Deer Park.
Indeed. Anyone else we need to mention? Tavor with beer shipped right to your door. Go to Tavor.com and get beer shipped right to you. In the promo code, type in Wort, W-O-R-T, get percentage off your order, your first order. And then from there, you'll get immense emails about all the beer that they have coming out for all over the country. Go to Tavor.com. Taphandles.com, got to give them a shout out for doing all our tap handle adapters that we've distributed throughout the restaurants and bars. They're out there. If you see them, ask them a little bit about what's going on there. Also, Hartwell Woodshop. You're going to see these all around breweries of our people that we've had on our show in previous months and years and weeks. So go to Hartwell Woodshop in the heart of Patchogue, or go to hartwellwoodshop.com. And with that, did I forget anything? You guys?
Brewers Hardware.
Oh, shit. Yeah,
Brewers
sorry.
Hardware.
Will over Brewers Hardware. How could I freaking forget Will? My bad. Brewers Hardware.
Jerk.
Yeah, sorry, Gage. You're going to get a Brewers Hardware shirt, by the way, in the mail. Yay. Always love industry beer shirts, right? I mean,
I don't have enough free shirt. I don't.
perfect. We're going to send you out a few. We'll talk about shipping it out to you later. So go to brewershardware.com for your small capacity, even your larger needs. Brewershardware.com sponsoring the Wort and handing out some great gift certificates and some merch and stuff for our guests. So appreciate Will and the stuff that Brewers Hardware does for the show. And our guest for tonight, we have Gage from NonSequitur, coming in a hot day, and then having a very delicious, very, very grapefruity beer that we just cracked open. Gage, again, thanks a lot. Yes. I want to tell the audience really quick, Gage was supposed to be in the studio sometime around, I was going to say late March, early April. We were aiming for somewhere in there. And then the pandemic hit, and then that was that. I know you were a very busy man, running around, getting your stuff out there, promoting, brewing, everything you can possibly do. Give us a little background about, the brand, we'll say, to start, and we'll get into some brews and fun times in a little while. But let's get the history. As I was reading and doing a little bit of my research, you started back in May of 2019. So just a little over a year ago was the announcement?
So, it was the announcement, but we didn't put out beer until October. Everything goes slow, you know that. And I will say, for everything that I do, I don't brew myself.
Okay.
I don't ever want to pretend to be that person. I pay someone else who has way more experience than I do everywhere I go, because that's just not my skill set. I have all the other stuff. I help, I clip pack techs. I mill grain. I'm going in Saturday to crash tanks. I can do lots. I just can't do it all. So
you are very good at the promotion, though, and a lot of the stuff that we see out on social media is what caught our eye in the first place. I mean, the strikingly awesome can art that I know you've won awards for, the way you're promoting with your buddy Nelson there. It kind of struck a note for us. Pizza, a dog owner. I just got a puppy 4 weeks ago. So,
congrats.
Steve owns you have one dog, Steve?
Yeah, now we do.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it comes up in the feed. I'm like, oh, Nelson, so cute. So
I feel like we should have all brought our dogs on the show.
No, Maeve's upstairs going crazy. She's losing her puppy mind right now. So.
I'm in my office, and my dog used to hang out down here with me while I worked. And then the printer went on once, and now he won't come down here anymore.
That's
the
it.
Printer's too noisy.
That's it.
He's a scared little bitch sometimes.
So Gage, give us a little background of the, that process from the announcement time to October, because that's interesting for someone of what you're doing. And would you consider yourself a nomadic brewery? How do you classify what you're doing right now?
So it was from the announcement. So I've been working on this project. I mean, I wanted to have a brewery from the first time I homebrewed. I've made that mistake just like all the rest of us, and it was a matter of figuring out how to do it, because I'm a younger guy. I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of money. So, figuring out how to get this whole thing done and get to market, it's difficult. And so we, the nomadic route, or semi-nomadic, is what made the most sense, because it, let us lean on other people's expertise, use extra room, and have support in the parts of the business that I don't have expertise. and also do it for a lot less. You know, you just pay 1 beer at a time, 2 beers at a time, however that works, you know, whatever it might be. So, you know, when we made the announcement, it was official that we were going to be making our beer at Torch and Crown. There were a lot of license questions that had to be sorted out, but you know, at that point they were basically like, yeah, thumbs up, we'll make you beer. We'll do everything that you need us to do so that we can get you to market. There were some stumbles because I pursued the sort of evil twin model, which inside of contract brewing is unique because Yepa/Evil Twin prior to New York City opening didn't sell their own beer. And that's part of why people were, you know, anti them for a period because of they're a marketing company. But he, as I, were really involved in the process as much as possible. It's just a legal, technical definition.
Right.
So I needed to partner with someone who could help me get to market vis-a-vis their licenses.
Which makes sense.
So,
I mean, that's the way to kind of move that forward if you want to proceed in that direction.
Right. And then it meant that I didn't need to do self-distribution because we started producing 30 barrels at a time.
Right.
And delivering 30 barrels worth of beer in New York City that's a huge order. If you are not like a seasoned distribution person yourself, let alone set the sales element of it. So we worked together on that for a little while, and then I took some to production to Red Hook at Keg and Lantern. Still make beer with them. We have a distributor. Anyway, I set out to do this thing, NonSequitur, as a slightly different. You know, I liked the idea of being nomadic-ish, but because we couldn't have a tap room for people to come to, we hosted pop-up tap rooms. So we took over non-traditional drinking spaces. The first beer, we took over a coffee shop. The second beer, we took over Alamo Draft House, and we screened Space Jam for...
Great movie.
Yes.
Third beer, we had a birthday party for Nelson in a dog park. We just invited people to a dog park and had a keg, and we were just like, come hang out, drink beer. We hosted an emo night dance party in a photo studio after the Brewers Guild opening bash. So it was just like trying to do it different, have as much fun as possible. And then with our beer, the fact of the matter is, if you have to make beer at this volume, you got to make IPA. Don't get me wrong, I love IPA, but I didn't want to be another IPA brewery. We've all heard the conversation like, does the world need another IPA brewery? So I set out from the beginning to try and make beers with hop selection as interesting as possible. So we've done a lot of beers with experimental hops, and we've done as much new hop stuff as we possibly can, and will do so in the future. Our latest beer, the Little Dipster, is Galaxy and the South African experimental XJA46. We have got on hand the other three South.
Whoa. I was going to make the joke that XJA48 is what
Max product.
Oh wait, he's there. Hold on, Gage. You dropped out for a second.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, that's all right.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good now.
Okay.
You can pick up with the other three varieties. That's where we dropped you out when you were talking about those other three you had on hand.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we have the three South African varieties on hand that you can't get a lot of them. Not a lot of people are using them. So we have those to use. We're putting it in a table beer, as well as eventually IPA. We've got the Citra Lupo Max, the brand new product that Haas announced last week. So they announced it on Wednesday, and I thought about it all day and found a home for it. I found a beer to put it into. Cool. So we'll have a beer out by the end of the month that uses that brand new product. And it might be Citra. We all know Citra, but it is nobody else in New York City is going to beat me to it, I think.
Nice. That'd be awesome. Groundbreaking. Right. What style is that going to go into? Have you decided on that yet?
Double IPA.
Oh, it'll be another IPA. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that with the Simcoe, yeah.
It's the first rebrew we're doing.
Okay.
Loose rebrew. So it was a Simcoe Citra Nelson double IPA. And what I've done is I put the Citra in the kettle instead of Simcoe. Then we put the Lupo Max in the dry hop, no Simcoe period, and just took 2 points, like 0.2% off the ABV. Just wanted to.
What is the Lupo Max do for the process? What flavors is that bringing?
So the Lupo Max, similar. You could easily equate it to cryo hops.
Okay.
It's less plant matter, higher oil content, more concentrated. You get you dose that at 70% the rate that you would T90 standard pellets, and you get the same amount of aroma, bitterness, etc. as you would, plus you lose less less liquid.
Yeah,
Ooh,
definitely more yield is the way to go,
Right.
and especially if you can keep all those flavors, that's awesome.
Yeah, I stopped into the brewery today. I opened the bag. It's going in tomorrow. It arrived today. It's going in tomorrow, and it smells phenomenal. I mean, really, really punchy. You know what Citra smells like, but it's super punchy and bright. So I'm excited to see what we get out of it. And that beer packages next week. So
nice. That'd be a good one, definitely to be on the lookout for. I want to go back really quick. So October, you guys had your first release, you say, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that first batch was with Torch and Crown, correct?
Yes, yeah. So everything from our first beer, which was called "Are We Still Having Fun," through "Think About Things," the yellow can Steve has, that was all at Torch and Crown.
Okay. And I mean, that was the one where the logos, and I'm going to go off of logos because we're going to talk about can art in a little bit, with the little like mustard can guy.
So the first
or spray paint can guy, whatever.
Yeah, they're beer cans.
They are beer.
They have pull tabs on their heads.
Oh, there's pull tabs. Got it. Yeah. That comes across more like it only because I think you could see it more distinctly. But when you see when it's the little guy in that other logo, I was like, it looks like a little squeeze bottle. That's kind of cool.
So we started creating the brand visually 3 years ago.
Wow.
I was living in Chicago. I knew this guy, Mike, who is our designer, who I just loved his work. And I gave him sort of here's a brief on what I think this will be like. And he gave me these pieces that ultimately became the first 5 labels characters.
Okay.
And then as we went into scaling up production and needing to do something, he needed to change the style so that I could do a portion of the work. And so he made the characters bigger, bolder, took the name out of the character. Because if you look at the first few labels, the name is a part of the character.
Right, yeah.
It's not, just off to the side. And so that allows us to lets me finish the art or the piece and not put that work on him because he's a busy guy.
Now, is the background of the can art, is that spray paint based? Is it tattoo based? What's the influence on how these labels come across?
It's he's a cartoonist.
Okay.
So he's a creative director by trade, but then if you check him out on Instagram at Neon Dinosaur, I'll plug him.
There you go.
Love him. But you would see that's totally his visual style.
Gotcha.
Fat lines and bright colors, very goofy, and everything has a butt, or almost everything. The skeleton doesn't, but it has a pelvis, which I think sort of counts.
Yes,
twice.
It's the front side of the butt.
Mm-hmm. But if you check out all the other cans have a little butt to them.
When I first saw some of the can art, it kind of reminded me of like Rocco's Modern Life in that kind of cartoon.
It's accidentally 90s nostalgia.
I was going to say Garbage Pail Kids.
Oh, that's
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Loud and goofy. Because at the end of the day, I'll say this: making cool beer is easy. If I wanted to just like give up all of my integrity today and wanted to be like a super hype brewery in 3 months, I could do it. That's not hard. You just put like 80% fruit puree into your beers and kill your margins using hype hops, and people will line up. They would come anywhere. It doesn't matter. But that's not the game I'm trying to play, because that's fucking that's lazy. That's cheap and lazy. You can make cool, great beer that people are excited about without being too cool for everybody else. Like, I love to talk about our beer, be friends with everybody, speak in a voice that says, like, it's just fucking beer.
That it is.
I also think for you, it sounds like you want it to be more of a challenge anyway. You want it to be more of a game to play rather than just call it in and say that I'm a brewery. You like the challenge. You want to think about it. You want to have those challenges.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, we all know what hops work. We all know which ones are going to be tricky. We all know if you're using experimental hop, that could fall apart. That beer could fall flat. It doesn't matter where you put it or what you do with it. It might not work. They're experimental for a reason. But I'm happy to do that. And I don't know that we're too young to say whether or not people see that and appreciate that, but with the Galaxy, the Little Dipster, our latest beer, we got Galaxy at a good price,
which is very hard to do.
Exactly. It came up on spot at about 25% off. So I bought a bunch of it. And we had this slot for brewing. I wanted to put it in the beer, but I said, making a beer with a bunch of Galaxy, and we had, in our cooler, we've got Citra, we've got Sabro, we've got Mosaic, we've got all the a bunch of the obvious stuff. But I was like, I'm not trying to make a slam dunk beer by default. I want people to be surprised that something is it's this new hop I've never heard of, and Galaxy, which I love. And we got a phenomenal aroma on that combination. But the kettle hop, we used some Southern Passion, and it gave just a sharper, earthier bitterness. We added it. Maybe it was a little too hot in the kettle or whatever. So it detracts from that super bright aroma where you want that round, citrusy, soft bitterness. But we did something really interesting, and I love that beer, and I stand by what we got out of it.
I appreciate our danker beers too. I mean, as much as I do like a good, guava, pineapple-y feeling, I do like that bite in the hops. Did that kettle, that hop kettle additive, really change it that much? Where I go, oh, this is not really, a New England. This is more like a West Coast, or was it just a slight change?
Oh, I mean, I think because New England IPAs tend to be so soft, it is noticeable. But at the same time, the aroma is such that peachy Galaxy thing. You smell it, you're like, that's Galaxy, and Galaxy is typically not paired up with something sharp on the palate. And so that, I think, and it's a learning experience for me, to say, I have to drink that beer and be like, yeah, I want a round citrusy thing, because the aroma is just too peach, orange, passion fruit, citrusy stuff. That is, in New England IPA, it ends up being the key. You need to match that, however that bitterness comes through, needs to be on the same page as the aroma.
So, Steve, when did you engage Meat? I know we were talking before the show that you have and share the same birthday with Gage.
Yep.
Yes. When did you guys first come into contact with each other?
Well, Gage was, and I think you still work for Beer Menus?
So I did work for Beer Menus. That ended in January.
Okay.
So on the brewery. We actually met. I worked at Tap and Barrel.
Yes.
Hopog.
Smithtown? And, somewhere up there. Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
And it was the fundraiser event at the bar in Patchogue that is no longer there.
Oh, Hoptron.
Great place.
So I came to the fundraiser with Tom Biner, who worked at that bar, and now is the GM at Covenhoven. We
Yep.
also lived together briefly last year for a year. So we came and we drank a bunch of beers and, you know, gave some money to the fundraiser. Thought it was, you know, it was super cool to be, to get involved in local beer. Cause I was new to craft beer within the year and really excited about the local beer scene. Cause on Long Island at that time, that was what, 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, was nascent to say the least. I mean, Great South Bay had just moved to Bayshore, but the tap room was just a kegerator in an empty warehouse space that is clearly still an office, right?
Yep.
It was a different time. So it was cool that Steve was starting something new.
Yeah, and in one of the
then
things
we
that
could run into each other at like craft brewers conferences and stuff like that.
I saw him in Philly at my first CBC at just out of the bar.
Yeah.
Half in the bag, as you are for all of CBC.
Yes. Which is kind of one of the reasons to go.
100%.
Now, did you guys, when you went, you know, and started on this process, because you mentioned going down to CBC, was there a lot of research behind this? I know you said you did some home brewing and it was a mistake, but, or as it is for me and Pete as well. I mean, Steve's first home brewing batch was yada, 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 so I don't want to...
No, I don't mean that home brewing is a mistake. I mean that, like, as soon as you start home brewing, you just get that itch.
Yeah.
You know? And you want to keep making beer, but you can't drink beer that fast. And you want to have a brewery because you want to be able to justify doing it and sharing it. It's not a mistake. I totally just being facetious.
Well, it was for me and it was for Pete. We were just god awful at it. We were certainly not brewers whatsoever. We did homebrew kits and stuff like that, and just nothing else came out right. So we're going to try to rectify that in about a month or so. We have a big announcement coming up. We'll talk about that later. But what I was going for is there's got to be a lot of time spent leading up into, you know, May for the announcement, October with the beer release, of just getting educated. What did that, I mean, how much emphasis did you have to put on that of your life to get to this point?
For sure. So I worked at beer menus by the time I left, 4 years. So by the time we put out the first beer, 3.5, 3 years by the time we really kicked this into high gear. So I was in tune with craft beer at a national level, specifically in New York City. It gave me, I was always doing market research is really what it was. I knew what bars were talking about of like all strata. It didn't matter if it was a pretty boring program where the food was the key, or it was a bodega, or it was tourist. I knew everything. And so I could get a handle on what are they looking for. I dealt with consumers, so I knew what they were looking for. And so I had this, what I really approached the business, a really interesting perspective on beer. And so then it was like, okay, well, everybody wants New England IPA. I loved that. I remember back when, you know, Hetty Topper didn't get distributed here, and Tom and I and Tony from Tappenborough would go to Vermont and pick beer up and bring it back. And that was something that you just couldn't get here. And I thought for the longest time, like, my business plan gets less valuable by the day because more people get better at making New England IPA. But then it was, okay, well, what makes a good New England IPA? I have to make it. I have to make a lot of it. What are the key factors? And so I wasted every brewer, brewery owner, anybody who would sit down with me who knew anything about recipe writing and actual production. I was like, what do I need to know? And, you know, at the end of the day, everybody said, what do you mean? It's your base malt, wheat, oats, flaked wheat, flaked oats, and a lot of hops. It's not, you know, particularly complicated. You have to be willing to spend the money on the hops if you want your product to shine. You know, you can make it better than others. It's not, you know, the basics are simple. The best is not. And, you know, this sort of range of yeast strains. But I took time from everybody, from Interborough and Other Half and Sand City and every brewery who would take 5 minutes to explain what they did. I asked them, I hunted them down, I drank the beers, I talked to people, I made the friends. And so when it came time to do it, it was just like, it was then, more importantly, it was about selling the beer. Starting a brewery and making beer at volume, it is way harder to sell it than it is to do anything else. Right. In my context, I don't have to build, right? I don't have to brewing and cellaring. That's hard, but then you have to convince people that they should buy it from you, and you're trying to turn a profit for your time. And without
a tap room for people to taste it and say, I want this to go, and then talk about it with their friends, you had no platform there.
Right. And so that's what, that's why I lean so heavily on social media.
Right.
It's been huge for discovery for us. We've really been able to build a following by, being fun and exciting and forthcoming. Like that when you're seeing it, that it's just a voice. It's just me. I'm just saying whatever thing I have to say, whatever joke I have to tell, whatever that might be. So, I mean, yeah, it was a lot of research, but that research was very much built into what I was already doing with my life. So it made it easy.
I did see a while ago that you were on beer sessions at the Heritage Radio over at the pizza joint.
Mm-hmm.
Cool spot. Here's a little fun factor. My buddy Don built the place.
Oh.
Yeah, he built it back when he lived in Bushwick area. And I saw that you were hanging with Chris from Dubco, the guys from Barrier, Bill from Sand City. Mm-hmm. Is that kind of where that collaborations kind of started with, I guess, Chris and Dubco? Because I've had your collab with Dubco, the mango.
Mai Tai.
Yeah, Mai Tai.
Was awesome. I mean, so I knew because of beer menus and just hanging out in the New York City beer scene, I knew all the breweries. So it was easy enough to get to, to say to the people who were closer friends, hey, we're starting out now. Would you mind making a beer with us? Some people took a little more effort than others. I couldn't return the favor, which is
right
key to collaboration. So it was tough to convince some people, but that I knew that was really important to getting the brand out there and to cement that, we weren't just some flash in the pan. We weren't just some marketing company, because we're all getting hit with ads for marketing company based beer brands.
Yep.
I get, constantly I'm getting hit with that stuff. And we've had plenty of people who set out to be craft brands that settled into being grocery store brands. And, they make their 4 staples and they cash their checks. And you can't lean on the culture and try to be a part of craft beer and behave that way.
Yeah,
so I think we're all thinking 1 or 2 brands in our head right now. That
we all have them. If you're playing along at home, you can scratch off your bingo cards as those names pop up.
I know who Joe Abruzzo's thinking of.
Don't bring Joey in.
I didn't wear the hat. I didn't wear that.
W.A. Mead Works.
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm going to get
actually, Joe's watching us.
Oh, is he? Oh, I'm not on Facebook.
Yeah,
he's going to put into the comments.
I'm thinking of the same brand, sir.
Okay. I'm not, just so you know. But that's to be seen. I mean, how are you going to stop that marketing level? You're not going to compete with that. That's a tough thing to do.
Hey, some of those brands are very good at what they do as far as being a marketing,
right.
And the beer is not bad. It's some of it's quite good. I wish one of my favorites wasn't getting made. Yeah, it's not bad. It's good stuff. It's
not exciting.
Now, if you're going to the grocery store, I'd rather buy something from one of these, semi-local brewers than fucking Bud Light or something, or Coors. So it's a step up.
Yeah, step up from there.
And they
is it just you are you NonSequitur, or do you have a partner, or?
So it is mostly me. I'm the day-to-day. I am the creative decisions. My girlfriend Simone she is, a ton of effort in this, a ton of sales and creative, and a perpetual sounding board as well.
And Simone is checking in on Facebook saying fire.
There you go.
So thanks for watching.
Keep watching. And then now that we've expanded to Keg and Lantern, and we're trying to grow, and we have the distributor, so there's room to make more product. We took on a couple of investors, and it's small stuff. It's just to keep the wheels turning. But it gave us, we took the investment, and it gave us the opportunity to buy all the Galaxy and all the South African stuff, and just all these hops that I wouldn't have been able to save the money on, because now there's cash to put towards those initiatives. That we're just
Gotta love capital.
Tell me a little bit about, I want to go back to that Dubco collab, because I remember that distinctly as my first experience with your beer, the Mai Tai. Yep. You guys brewed that obviously out at Dubco, correct?
Mm-hmm.
What was the process? Was it an IPA? But it was
Fruit IPA, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was fun because Chris, I love telling this story. I don't know that Chris and I have had the dialogue about it, but when Chris and I met, he and Joe, who is listening,
yes, he is,
were super drunk after opening bash.
That doesn't sound right.
That's not Joe at all.
Yeah,
that's on brand.
And they thought that I said something negative about them when they were within earshot, and tried to muscle up on me a little bit at Threes after the fest.
Uh-huh.
And they were like, "We heard you were talking shit," and I was like, "No, you heard what I said. You missed 5 words, and then it was out of context, and so no, I like you guys, no worries." And they were like, we had this conversation, and they were just a little bit up. Joe was a little bit up on me, and then by the time it wrapped up, we had invented a new beer menus product, and we were best friends, and we went out till the bars closed. And so Chris and I have been fairly close all the years. Joe and I have been close. And when it came time to make these beers, I said, "Chris, are you game?" And he said, "Fuck yeah, what do you want to do?" And for everybody else, I wanted to make not IPA. I was making IPA, so we made a milk stout, we made a saison, we made a fruited sour, but it made sense to make an IPA with Dubco.
Right.
So I said, let's make it different than mine. He said fruit. I said yes. And we went for a cocktail-inspired Mai Tai, so it was orange and pineapple. And that was a phenomenal beer. And I learned a lot about hazy IPA production that day with Chris. He does some things that he learned from Chief at Industrial Arts that he swears by, and you can't argue with Chief and Chris, so they're making killer IPA. So I appreciate that day he gave me. I sold it into a bunch of spots in the city to make good on that.
Yeah.
There you go. Vacation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the cool part of the collab. So now Dubco can be found on the shelves as a collab beer in the city. And I found it very easily at one of my local distributors of your brand and label. So that's why I said it was one of those first things I go, what's this new thing here? And then,
also, shout out to Chris and Joe if you're listening.
Joe keeps commenting.
Uh-oh.
All right, well, tell him.
Oh, God,
Joe,
I would love to know what those comments are.
Joe's like, haha, Threes, yes.
Well, they can come to Red Hook and make a beer with me.
Yeah, there you go.
Now I can host people because this facility, I'm there all the time, much closer to the process. So we've got we'll talk about future beer later.
Yeah. The Keg and Lantern lineup you're talking about?
Yep, yeah.
I saw some posts towards it, so yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah, and Joe has been just saying hashtag not local, and then he said not at Threes. Simone's still saying hi and waving, I guess, because I mentioned it. It's a 2-minute delay between where we're going and then what they're seeing, so they're seeing it in a bit of a delay. So the comments that come back then are in a delay. So they'll comment on things that we talked about a little while ago. Let's talk a little bit about, from that point on, moving forward after the Dubco collab, you were working with Torch and Crown, obviously, up until the most recent releases. Let's go through that process of coming up with, your recipe, talking with the guys over there, until you get to the point where you're in production. And then I guess during that time, you have to come up with the sales plan for where it's going to go and where it's going to be. So give me that whole spectrum of processes.
Sure. So with Torch and Crown, we had a standing, like, the third of the month we made a beer.
Okay.
And so I had this sort of template to work from on a grain bill percentage wise to make a New England IPA, and would with each beer try different things. So for one beer, I added 8% golden naked oats and tweaked some other things around that, or tried more wheat malt, tried flaked rye. And what's funniest about, I think rye is my favorite thing that I've learned about, is that when you tell people there's rye in their IPA, generally speaking, not a popular decision. People hand the first beer where I said rye was in it for having rye in it, even though it was a great beer that they otherwise loved. But then I added rye in multiple other beers and just didn't say it.
Right.
And they performed better.
Placebo effect.
And je ne sais quoi, it gives depth to the beer, and it's a phenomenal ingredient. I love using, and I will say it, flaked rye is in almost all of our IPAs.
Wow.
What's funny is Ghost and Dubco have a new collab out that has rye in it that I'm dying to try, because the last one they did a milk stout that had rye and caraway, I think.
Caraway seed.
Oh yeah, like a sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Ghost
in the Machine.
Ghost in the Machine, which I loved, and I'm not a big stout fan. So because this new IPA has rye in it, I'm very curious to try it.
Yeah.
There you go. So I would work with that grain bill,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was about what hops could I get, and we're striking at the moment. So the first beer was Cashmere and Hallertau Blanc.
Ooh.
And I was really excited by it, but I didn't put enough. That was the big lesson of the first beer, not enough hops. And so upped the dry hop the second one. We got a good deal on Rakow. I was excited to use it. Don't get me wrong. We got a good deal, so we put a lot in it.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, okay, well, I want to make a beer with Nelson. So Citra and Nelson was a great combo. You should have seen this coming.
Yep.
Then we got into more experimental, weird stuff. We did the Bruce is in Think About Things, and Lemigetta was our February release. So that's a blend from New Zealand. It was brand new. And now, sitting in the cooler, it was like, buy it all if the price is right, and we'll use it soon enough, or we have contracts coming in. So that's the craziest thing.
Yes.
Now we're old enough to get contracts, and we're getting contracts at the right time because breweries have given them up.
Yep.
Most people are assuming shrinking. So we got Nelson, we got Galaxy, we got Rawaka, which I couldn't believe. When the rep told me, I have Rawaka you can buy, I said, I want 220 pounds, 4 or 5 beers worth, and thinking that I was shooting way above my weight class. And he's like, you bet. Crazy. We have a bunch of...
A year ago, you wouldn't have sniffed that.
What's up?
A year ago, you would have never even sniffed that.
No way. Not a shot in hell. And we got a ton of Strata because I love it. And Citra and the Citra Lupo Max, and just all this. We have so much cool stuff coming in. I have so many beers that I'm dreaming of now because I've spent so much time thinking about hops and hop combinations and flavors and what'll we get that is not just Citra, Amarillo, Simcoe, Slam Dunks, and just what can we do? What's the craziest thing we can do with all these hops that we have to play with?
It must be nice to have all the toys. Just experimentation time.
That's the game.
That's it. I can still do it in a way that is interesting to me. Because I've been drinking hazy IPAs since this was a thing, and I'm exhausted. I'm typically exhausted by it.
Yeah.
So now I get to, have the most fun. but also I can make pilsners.
Yeah, I promise I can make those.
We're 3 weeks into or 3.5 weeks in. Our pilsner is in the tank.
Ooh, nice.
Lathering away.
Oh.
We're
we using Czech Pils malt? Are you going, I guess, traditional, or are you doing more of a...
So I'm going more Italian Pils with it.
Okay.
So we used the raw Pilsner base malt just because that's what we're using now. Bought a bunch of it. I like it. Want to see it in different style uses. And then we got the Ericlea, the heritage Italian Pilsner malt. So that felt like the right thing to do, even though it's Italian Pilsner is not really Italian. And then German Tettnanger. And so it's all Tet, about a pound per barrel. And then a dry lager classic strain.
So you said you were holding on to a ton of different kinds of hops. Do you have a place to store this all? Are you storing it Torch and Crown? Are you like setting up shop kind of that? Or do you have a separate unit or place to store this stuff and then bring it to you on a brew day?
So right now, everything we've already bought, other than our contract stuff, we keep it at Keg and Lantern.
Oh, okay. Or Keg and Lantern. Okay.
Yep. There's a couple, little bit of room in the cold box. We stack them up in there, and they have been so kind as to give us that room, so that we can, because we have 2 IPAs in the tank, the one with the Lupo Max, and then a single IPA, which is called People Power. It's our entry in the Threes project.
Ooh.
And
that's what Joe was talking about.
It was supposed to be Azaka and our very first contract, Matueka, from New Zealand. It was supposed to, so the Matueka, hops in the Southern Hemisphere get picked through like May at the latest, processed and shipped. So it was supposed to land in LA at the beginning of July, like the first week. And then I told our rep, who we got the contract with, I said, send it immediately. Turn it right around, put 44 pounds on the truck. I want to put it straight into a beer. Because to me, it was a huge milestone to have our first contract. It was going to be one of our first IPAs in the new facility. It was just a really exciting moment. And of course, our Matueka didn't make it.
From the ship to the truck, or from the truck to you?
To the ship. It didn't even make it to LA. So we won't get it until August.
Oh, no.
But because we had already purchased other stuff, I had 44 pounds of Brew 1 in the cooler. So I said, fine, throw the Brew 1 in it instead. So
when you say contract for these hops, dumb question. What is that? Can you?
Yeah. So when you contract for hops, I'm saying today that over the course of December-ish of this year through next year, I will buy such a volume of hops, and if I don't pick them all up by August or fall of next year, then I either pay them storage or they ship them all to me, and I owe them all that money up front.
Yep.
Or at that
Gotcha.
point.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was a point in time where guys were contracting 5 years in advance.
I had to contract my Vic Secret for 2021.
Sure.
Wow.
I couldn't get it for this year.
Yep.
And is that truly
and that's just
a popular thing right this moment? I mean, I don't see too many out there.
Vic Secret?
Yeah. I mean, not highlighting the Vic Secret. Maybe they're in a blend or a combination of other hops, but I don't see them being highlighted as like a single hopped, series. Every so often, maybe like even San City does like their Soup du Jour, and they'll have, their Simcoe. They had their Galaxy just come out. They've had Vic Secret. But not too many breweries are doing that. So I don't see how the volume of Vic Secret would be taken up to that level.
The production is lower.
Well, there you go.
That's the key.
There's not enough. There's not as much of that out there compared to other varieties.
Exactly. So the fact of the matter is, this is also a place where we benefit, is that, all right, we've got 8,000 breweries. How many of them are even making beer with Vic Secret?
Right.
How many of them are making beer or more than one beer with Galaxy? Because typically Galaxy is 27 plus a pound if you don't have a contract. Okay. I got it for $20 a pound. And we're talking about using 44 pounds of this, thousands of dollars.
Yep.
We got it at 20. That's a great deal. But our contract for Galaxy is $16.50. So we save more than $10 a pound off the going market rate to put that into beer.
And like you said, when you're going up to 400 pounds at a purchase price, it's like, when the dollars of the gas prices went off, you're like, whatever, $3, $3.04. Now it's $1.99. You're like, wow, how much money did I really save every time I filled up my tank? It's crazy. Every dollar does count.
Mm-hmm.
So it's similar to like an airline buying oil futures to.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And we have the room to do so.
Right.
Our production now would eat almost all of these. If we grow, we're going to buy other stuff, and we have a ton of hops to play with. And
what's a variety that you just can't get right now that you really want to work with? What's that cool hop that you just can't get your hands on right now?
Well, so you mean today or in contracts for next year? Because
either.
Vic Secret is the one that I wanted, and I could buy it spot right now, but it would just be very expensive, and it defeats the purpose.
And then it drives the cost up of the beer, and
exactly.
Yeah.
So for that's definitely one. But when I got the list of Southern Hemisphere options and Rawaka was on it, I never would have dreamed of using that hop. It was, I remember I went to Cellar Maker in San Francisco 5+ years ago and had a single hop Rawaka beer, and it was my favorite beer I had ever had. And for easily 2 years after that, it was insanely good. And Rawaka was just one of those hops that was impossible to come by. The only people who made Rawaka beers were Cellar Maker, Hill Farmstead, Tired Hands, other half. That's how hard it was to come by.
Yeah.
And they pretty much had a lock on it because they were making such volume that was it. They were soaking it all up.
Right. And now there's more. Now other people can get it, but I still see it so infrequently. It is, to me, a mythical product. I can't believe I can get it.
So let's turn the page a little bit and start talking about what we have in front of us, what we could find out here today, because honestly, a lot of the places are sold out of the beer that you're getting out here on Long Island. It's harder to find, which is good for you and good for
one of those good problems, right?
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. For the consumer, you really got to then jump on it, and we'll talk about where you can find your beer and the releases coming up and all that other good stuff. The first one that I had tonight, just to start off, was Love Your Friends. It was or Die Laughing. Is that what it is? Love Your Friends,
Die Laughing. Yep.
Give us a little breakdown on this, because this so far was a very good, New England IPA.
So that is far and away our best received beer.
As it should be. It was very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's partially because Strata plus Enigma, slam dunk.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, Strata, there's a reason Strata is crushing right now and you can't get it. And so we signed our contract for next year, so we got our hands on some for now. That was very lucky. And it's got Comet in the kettle. I bought the Comet because I had the Dubco Space Junk. Comet Galaxy. And I thought, this is great. And I love all of the things about this that are not Galaxy, as well as the things that are Galaxy. So that was how I decided to put that in that beer. And it crushed. It's so good. I knew from like 7 days into fermentation out of 3 weeks that beer was going to kill. It's awesome. And I'm thrilled that people are loving it, that it's holding up, that it's just a remarkable beer. And we brewed it for Harlem Hops, Beer Noggin, Draft Industries, Mohawk Tap Room, and the local, all Harlem / Westchester / Dutchess / Rockland counties. But so yeah, we made that beer for them, and then sent. After they got their fair share of it, which was really just the first week, we shared it with other people and got gobbled up, disappeared.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Juicy, smells delicious. Definitely dank. Pick up that dank.
Yeah.
What is? Oh, never mind. Dumb question. I answered myself.
You read, didn't you?
I did.
He's like, Pinot Noir. Wait.
It was Pinot Gris. I got it. I'm dumb. Great
So,
grapes.
I mean,
I got it.
That beer was, I drank it so quick.
Yeah.
But I have more of it, so it was very good. But this,
it's something.
It's got such a unique flavor to it.
Yeah, it's floral.
That I actually like you were saying, Gage. You could just easily churn out those, easy tasting that everybody else does type of beers. But this one, for me right now, I'm just kind of savoring it right now because it's really it hits on a bunch of different notes that I really dig. And so, yeah, out of the two right now, this one is really, I'm really enjoying it.
Excellent. I'm glad you dig it. That one, when you put fruit into beer rather specifically, it's always tricky to hit the right place.
Sure.
Because people want different things from their fruit beers, fruit IPAs specifically. Because there's everything from like Love Your Friends smells and tastes of fruit but has none,
right,
all the way through to 50% puree beers. and where you land, no matter where you go, you won't hit it for everybody else. Or you won't hit it for everybody at least. And so, like, for me personally, that guava, that fruit character in that is too much.
Really?
When I first drank it, I actually didn't like it.
Really?
And it mellowed the first week, and then I got to a point where I was like, okay, this is very fruity. It's not what I want, but I like it and I get it, And it's so funny because when you, Steve, as you know, when you make a bunch of beers, you're not going to want to drink a lot of all of them. Some of them are just not going to do it for you personally.
Yep. Everybody would always ask me, what's your favorite beer? I'm like, not one of mine. And what? I'm like, I could drink my beer anytime, and I've had them, and
I labored over it too much. It pissed me off too much.
Yep.
I know you like, oh, that Pilsner. Yeah, I think about it. That beer was 6 months in the making, and it was all stressed, and I couldn't source this or that, and then this thing went wrong on the canning day.
Yep.
It's so funny to think about the creative nature of the business, because I know everything about each of these beers. I might like the way it tastes, but not want to drink it because it pisses me off for business reasons.
To a layperson, like an outsider, that just sounds so crazy that like it wouldn't be. Yeah,
this is yours.
You would
How
just
could you not like
automatically be brewing whatever you wanted, and
right.
they would all be your favorites.
Right, but the thing is that you can't just brew whatever you want
because it wouldn't sell.
No.
Hold on, we have someone coming in.
Yes, he has the fucking shirt and everything.
Hey, back off! Don't get all up on Gage like that. Come on, back off of him.
It's so funny, Steve. As you know, when you make a bunch of beers.
He doesn't have his audio on. It's in a delay.
Your audio off. Well, now I have to go get a mead from my fridge. Hold on.
No. Joe, you got your audio on? No, your audio. No, it's not. You have us muted, and I think we still heard you in the background. So just unmute it.
He was listening.
There you go. Hey, there it is.
There we go.
I know you.
But you got the show playing in the background. So just turn whatever app's playing our show in the background, and then you don't have to worry about it. There you go. Perfect. What up, buddy?
What's up, homie?
You were having so many comments in the Facebook feed. I was just like, just come on the show at this point.
I was bored. I was watching you guys. I was like, and yeah, fuck that brand.
Here we go.
Oh, I know we're talking about the same one, but we didn't drop the name, did we?
No,
no.
You don't have to. Everyone knows.
We know. It's an inside thing.
Yeah.
I know.
We all know.
Joe, Gage was telling
Joe
us.
Popped on.
Oh, there you go.
Got to crack open.
Gage was talking about the time you and Chris kind of rolled up on him in the streets, and it turned out to be a match made in heaven.
There are bits and pieces of that night I remember, and bits and pieces I don't remember.
Exactly.
We're used with another brewery, not Gage, and I think part of it kind of like fell together. But that's for a non-public time.
So you heard some of Gage's words mixed with another brewer's words, put it together, and was like, he's saying shit.
I didn't hear much.
This motherfucker.
This son of a bitch.
Honestly, that was a blackout night.
Yeah.
I ended up driving back in the Sand City van, sitting on a keg. I don't know how.
You weren't sleeping on grain?
No, I was fucking we poured mead at the fermentation fest early, and I rolled right into the opening bash with Chris. It was like a 17-hour day.
Oh. So you guys,
Gage, you guys are killing it, dude. Everything's so good.
Thank you. I mean, listen, man. Just like we were saying right before you came on, like it looks good. People like it. The product is good. And I want to tear my hair out every second of every fucking day.
Welcome to business ownership.
Exactly, dude. We all got something.
I want to go back. So you and I guess Chris, you guys were running the streets a little bit. Where'd you guys end up that night? You said you going back to Sand City afterwards?
No, we left. Billy drove us back to Billy's apartment.
Okay.
And we were drinking beer. I was drinking beer sitting on a keg in the back of the Sand City delivery van. Then we went back to Billy's house, and Billy started opening weird 18% stouts at 2:30 in the morning.
Sounds about right.
After 17 hours of drinking. It's about right.
Gage, where'd you end up that night?
Threes. Then we ended up at Tender Trap with Sophia and Matt. Sophia, ex-Industrial Arts, Matt from Threes. Dancing for a while.
Not that Tender Trap?
I was thinking of the one in Comac.
That's a Tender Trap I was thinking of.
No, Greenpoint. We just walked around the corner.
I was like, you went all the way out to the Tender Trap?
I'm like, that's Threes to Comac? Like, that's
gross.
Gross.
You think I also got someone who works in Garnerville and Brooklyn to go out there? No way. No way. We did that, and then I think that was it. I think it was like it was already 2 a.m. by the time we left Threes. Easy.
Yeah, easy.
Long night.
You were talking, Gage, earlier about the discussions about how you can take over the world with Chris and Joe. What was that discussion like?
Oh, so we were what we had come up with was a pre-sale engine for beer. Which, like, some breweries have been using Eventbrite and shit like that. I talked to Steve about this a while back, too. Yep. And it was just like, if people are lining up to buy your beer and you're selling out quickly, what if we offered them an easy solution where they didn't have to wait in line, could buy it online, and it would be that revenue would come to you faster.
Right. It would be a ticketed event where you'd be guaranteed your spot.
Like during a pandemic? When you need
exactly. And now for beer venues, that product has turned into their new backbone because, they need to help people sell without a lot of or lower impact, low contact.
I'm going to give you a quick example of how that could have helped me today. I'm on Instagram.
Yeah, how'd that go? I saw a little salty message there to a.
Oh, I was so pissed. I was so pissed. So at 12 o'clock, Hudson River Valley came out with.
Oh, you named names.
Yeah, I did. Hudson Valley, not River Valley. Hudson Valley came out with their farmhouse, and they had this whole release, at 12 o'clock. And listen, I asked them to be on the show. I even, the message I sent. I'm not playing coy here, but they came out with a message at 12 o'clock saying it's a 3-bottle minimum. Get your 3 bottles, ship it, send it. Great. I was in. At 12:05, I logged in. I set everything up. I put 3 bottles in my cart. It said there are 16 bottles left. I'm like, great. I went through the shipping process, the payment process. I hit checkout. It says it's sold out. I'm like, how can that be? It literally took me 2 minutes to enter my information. And in that 2 minutes, 16 bottles are gone in that 2 minutes.
On the plus side, you'll never have to have the disappointment of meeting your heroes because they're never coming on the podcast.
No, they may. So. Who knows? You never know.
It's all these young kids with these computers that have all that shit logged in already. All that shit
computers.
Saved already, man. Because you're fucking old, dude.
I'm not that old, Joe. All I'm saying,
forward, man.
I have the automatic fill-in. I have the autofill set.
No, because I was able to get Trillium,
Mhm.
Treehouse, and Bissell this past week.
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
I think it's sold out.
And I'm going to say this, Steve, you dropped off beer, and I know you had, and I said we were talking earlier yesterday and before the show. What do we get for you who can pretty much get anything, travel and get anything you want?
Yeah,
How do I
seriously,
get
what,
something
like,
you can't get?
God, I'd feel like such an ass coming to
Yeah.
like a fucking.
So I saw it in my mind like, here, I can get 3 bottles, one for me, one for Pete,
Here's
one for
this
Steve.
beer I bought down the street. Like what? Like.
Right. I mean, you can get any local beer we can get. So I was trying to do something different with the farmhouse, and it's one of their original farmhouses. So I'm like, this is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to get Steve for bringing over beer. I told you I'd get you back. So I'm like, this is. I was just so disappointed, and it literally, and that's what I wrote in the DM. I'm like, ... disappointed. I am disappointed. So it would make sense, Gage, to have some sort of ticketed event that if I pay my $25, which can cover my shipping fee then, and get my spot in line so I don't lose out on it, then I get it. It just makes more sense.
But even that, I mean,
I guess in my cart doesn't mean it's mine. Disappointed.
Yeah.
The thing is that with super hype breweries like Hudson Valley, where they know that stuff is going to disappear in a second,
5 minutes,
they
it said.
are not incentivized to participate, and even that pre-ticket thing would sell out just as quickly.
Yeah, I guess there
there's
has to be
some-
some incentive there.
Pre-coronavirus, there were only so many. I mean, there were so many more breweries who fit into this model making sense. It's just like if you have a line, you can help alleviate that line. The easiest targets are people who are like you're buying 2 cases of, filling up trucks of mules.
The big thing with
Why?
lines too. Lines were causing havoc. People that lived in the area didn't like them. Cops were ticketing people for drinking online.
Right.
So,
City comes to mind.
And other half, and obviously other half had some big problems with a couple incidents in the last few months, even years. But like, if you want,
gun?
yeah, the guy with the gun, that was crazy.
Oh, right.
So someone
Right.
threw a white claw at him or something, or he threw a white claw at somebody.
Yeah, it was something like
ridiculous.
very lowbrow alcohol.
Did he shoot the White Claw? Is that what the gun was for?
No, he like threw a white claw at one of the hipsters online, waiting on another half.
That's fair.
But even like a place, let's say like Treehouse, like you said, Pete, Steve, the line there sucked. I mean, even as much as I like to do it as like a, kind of like a getaway moment or whatever, that whole process is just awful. It lessens the experience.
I was telling Pete earlier today, so we weren't allowed even to get out of our car. I ordered at 9:30 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
We drove there. They had the serpentine traffic all through their parking lots, everywhere around, and you had to have your ticket number on a piece of paper with your last name, and you put it up against your window, and they would do 6 to 7 cars at a time, and the guy would radio ahead, 45735 Pominski, and we would pull up, and he came with, hand trucks up to your car, left it there. You weren't allowed to get out of your car until the person that brought it to you walked away. Then you were able to get out, put it in your car, and then close the door, and then they would come back and get it, and the next 6 cars would come.
It sounds like they're trying to adapt, but there's got to be a better way to do that kind of stuff. There's just got to be.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, by the way, because that frees up like 6 hours of my vacation that I would never have gotten back.
Yeah, we waited.
by not doing that.
We waited about 45 minutes just driving around their parking lots to try to get. I think it would have been easier for me with 3 young kids in the car and a clearly frustrated wife. No.
It probably would have been
so
easier.
much easier.
They'll find your dead body on the side of the road.
Right by that big treehouse wooden entrance sign. There you go. Just on the side of the road. He either got way too drunk or his wife murdered him for taking her there. Makes sense. Gage, you see like a better solution to all of this that makes more sense, not just the treehouse or other half issue, but just in general? What could be a better overall concept for breweries that have high volume outputs and do these releases? And I know you've been doing some very unique things like hosting, like you said, tastings in different various areas. And I had a question about that back when you were talking about it. Do you have to get permits to do it at the coffee shop? But is there a bigger idea that we can kind of follow? Is there something better?
It's tough. It's consumer driven, and the fact of the matter is that Treehouse no solution will be good enough to account for the fact that there are, 20,000 people who want to buy their beer every day.
Yep.
Until we don't get me wrong, Treehouse makes phenomenal beer. They rarely miss. I would say they never miss because they just probably dump something if it was a miss. They're in that position. They don't send beer out to distribution, so they make all the money themselves. I remember talking to them about CBC. They said BSG or YCH, one of the big companies wanted them to send beer because it was made with their products. And they said, okay, for you, yes, we'll send 1 sixtel. That's all we can spare. Do you know how many sixtels we sent out of the house in that year? 3 total, yours included, they said. And it's just you're deciding that you can't send beer out of the house because you make 10x the dollar amount because you keep it in-house. Fine. Do that, make that money, great. But for consumers, it is up to them. Consumers idolize those brands. They say, everything Treehouse does is gold. I will wait hours and hours in line to get it. They have captured a wide enough swath of people to do that. Other half, a wide enough swath of people to do that. But there are only 15 of those breweries in the country.
Right.
So, the situation that sucks is really only for people who are willing to participate in those limited number of breweries. Your other breweries have their beer available, or at least for a day.
Right. If you could take yourself out of wanting that beer for a minute and just read go onto their website and you read hey, we're only going to let you buy 2 of these beers. By the way, they're $10 each can, and they're going to sell if you just objectively take yourself out of it, it's insane. But they will sell it all at 2 cans a person.
Right.
Joe, what were you going to say?
That us mere mortals have to hold on to products for a little longer.
Right.
Seriously.
We keep our stuff.
By the way, I hadn't had this particular variety yet, but it's fucking great, Joe. Keeping a Lindy number 2.
Oh, the blueberry ginger? Yeah, that's our
it's good.
That's our second bestseller.
Now, you had Keeping It Lindy, the first one, right? That went out with that ticketed event in the local area with the local restaurants, correct?
It was a hop one with Ryan.
Ah, that's right.
The first one. And we just keep 2 because people just want it all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So, it's really good, man.
Yeah, it came out really good. We're happy with the way that comes out all the time. It's one of the ones we have to almost keep around steadily.
Did you drink that habanero I gave you?
What?
Did you drink that habanero I gave you?
Oh, I didn't get no, because then I got busy and people came in and I couldn't drink it.
Okay, that's good though.
I'll probably drink it tomorrow at 9:00 in the morning when the new tanks are showing up.
So I was just about to ask you. I saw the variance notice on the storefront.
Our tanks are literally being delivered at 8 a.m. tomorrow.
Did you vote no to the variance, Mike?
No, I did
not.
not.
Show up and voice your concerns?
No, of course not.
I don't want these guys producing here.
These motherfuckers, they're bringing down the value of property in my area.
They took down the Taekwondo place, and now they're going to start setting up shop. What are
Where will the children go if not for the Taekwondo place?
Now they're going to make alcohol in this place.
And not only that, but they bully Gage around when they see something.
Yeah. I can't support this.
Can't support that.
So you got the tanks coming in tomorrow. So what's the plan here?
I don't know. Hopefully have it set up and
I don't know.
Hopefully make stuff by September.
Okay, so it's about a month out or so. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Good. And so this is going to be a major production spot, right? This is not a tasting room again.
Yeah, pretty major.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be that big. I mean, we're only getting 10-barrel unit tanks, so it's not that big.
Yeah, but still, it's going to double your production that you're making now, right?
Don't get those expectations up too high, Joe. You don't want to overpromise here, buddy.
Set myself up for disappointment.
Joe, if you had to do a collab with Gage and some of his more recent recipes that he's had, which one would you probably want to go in on the most?
I would want to do like a New England style IPA with Halton Blanc, blueberry, and ginger. Because the Halton Blanc adds those blueberry notes. I want something fun like that. Because Pat Alpha from Greenport Harbor did a Pilsner with the Halton that had all those like blueberry notes to it. It was awesome.
You could also put honey in it, man.
There you go.
That too, obviously, we'd have to.
So Joe, since Gage is doing his nomadic contracting thing, where would you guys end up brewing this? Out here on the island, or would you travel into the city for this one?
That was stupid.
I'd go to the city. It'd be a fun day. I love Keg and Lantern.
I saw that in the comments. I was trying to set you up on that one.
Awesome. I love that place.
Yeah.
So that's Greenpoint.
Yeah.
The facility in Red Hook is the kitchen is smaller and also not open every day. Typically when we're in there, there's no food. But we're right around the corner from Hometown Barbecue, though.
There you
do
go.
that too. And then maybe go to Widow Jane and drink some bourbon.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, that sounds like a 16-hour day again.
Looks like I'm gonna have to Uber there or take some sort of public transportation. Be no driving that day.
Hey, wear a mask. Anyway, Gage, so you're set up now to contract at Keg and Lantern. You got your next 2 beers. Is that true? The next 2 are coming out through them? 3. Boom. Give us the breakdown of what is. I know you kind of mentioned it here and there. What's the schedule here?
So yes. So in the Bright, we've been lagering in the Bright because you just make do with the tanks you have. So we have an Italian Pilsner, Altet. 5+ weeks by the time it comes out. That's called it's Finally Here, or something like that. I should remember. I sent the label in today. Whatever. It's an Italian Pilsner. It's a break from our visual style previously, but still fairly similar. Just nice, crispy, easy. We're gonna have a shitload of it, and I'm taking 5 cases home, and I'm gonna drink it every day. Nice. Then our single IPA, People Power, that's a new recipe, 6%. So our smallest IPA to date. That's a light hopping of Azacca in the kettle, and then Azacca and Brew 1 in the dry hop. So pineapple primarily, because Brew 1 gives huge pineapple, and then tropical fruits will come in behind that from the Azacca.
You said small. Does that mean session? Or are we talking about ABV, or are we talking about small batch in regards to quantity?
No, I just mean the volume of hops.
Okay.
Like it's a light hopping, so it'll be a more mellow flavor in the kettle. Or mouthfeel, rather. And then we've got the double dry hop. You should have seen this coming. So that's the Citra Lupo Max Nelson 7.5% double IPA.
So I know your best friend there, Nelson. Was he named after the hop, or was
he was?
He was.
Yeah, 100%.
It would be weird to call him Simcoe, and people would just know. But because Nelson's such a regular name,
that Jerez from Other Half started. That his name is Simcoe. And so now amongst the people of the New York City beer scene, they like to fuck with me. And it's like, I don't mind if you want to see him and call him Simcoe. But when you call him Simcoe on the internet and then people think that's really his name who don't know, that hurts my feelings. Dog,
that's hurtful.
He's stupid. He doesn't, he's stupid though. He doesn't know, he doesn't understand what his name is or isn't. So.
And you have a pretty cool tattoo of him, correct? Let's see it. There it is.
Oh,
there he is.
Look at that. Fantastic artwork.
The other day, I delivered some beer to someone who lives in my neighborhood. So I walked carrying a pizza box. We made these pizza boxes. Oh, actually, I'll grab one. Hang on.
There you go. Ooh, we're getting a tour. Oh, I thought it was MTV Crib style.
So we made these pizza boxes.
There you go.
That have his face on them.
Love it with the mask. It's great.
Masked up.
And I delivered carrying the pizza box with the beer, same as it ever was, that had his face on it, and walking him. So someone stopped. He's like being difficult because he's a French bulldog and he is difficult. stops at their table at a restaurant outside, and they're like, "Oh my God, is that the dog?" And I turn to them and I'm like, "Where? On my arm, the beer can, or the box?" They lost their mind.
Yeah.
So happy.
Oh my God. Were they craft beer fans? Did you end up engaging them a little bit about it?
Yeah. They followed us on Instagram.
Cool.
So
they were starstruck to see Nelson walking around.
Consumers.
Nelson, and it's crazy. I don't say this for any other reason than I've been genuinely shocked. Nelson has been recognized on the street more than once.
How about you? Have you been recognized on the street more than once?
Not me. No, not me.
Just the dog.
They said
That makes sense.
He was in my backpack.
Yeah.
We were biking around Prospect Park, Simone, my girlfriend, and I, and we like pull over, and some guy is biking by, and he says, "Oh my God, is that Nelson?" And I said, "Yeah, what?" And he says, "That's incredible! Holy shit! I'm ordering beer from you this week."
That's got to be a cool thing, because it's not just a recognize of the animal that you love, but it's a recognized element of your brand. It means that it's weird. Like, so for instance, when we go out and anyone goes, "Aren't you part of that podcast?" I'm like, huh? When we get people on Instagram, and again, I'm not trying to be self-indulgent. I'm just saying
There you are.
No, you're part of the show, Steve. Shut your mouth. They, like some random people will respond. I'm like, who is this guy? And I've been listening to your podcast for the last year or so. Love everything you're doing. Thanks. It's rewarding that all the time. Yeah, it is weird. And aren't you Joe Bruzo, that guy who creates honey wine? That's fantastic.
No one even knows what the fucking meat is. Like, no one knows what it is. So every now and then
I had to explain it to my dad. After my mom had already went to the meadery.
Bro, LARPers know who you are.
Oh God, LARPers. Those live action roleplay guys.
God, that's
they know you, bro. They know the mead.
So it's got to be kind of.
Have many of them come in.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's got to be rewarding just to kind of have justification for all the hard work. There he is. Hey, buddy.
He got up from his nap.
Yeah. And it's got to be rewarding just to get that justification from your brand, from the work you put in, and go, yes, it's working. Random people that are not my friends and not my family, that haven't heard it from my dad or my cousin that told them about it, are getting it. They understand it.
It's especially crazy in New York City,
where there's so many people.
Right. If I was in a small town, if I was in a concentrated place, it would still be crazy. Don't get me wrong. But it's especially crazy because it's New York, and I grew up wanting to live here, being obsessed with it. I will die here happily next week or in 50 years, who knows? But it's crazy, and it's really satisfying, and it is one of those things that, because as you guys know, running a business isn't easy, and at the end of the day, every beer is difficult one way or another. Nothing is simple or ideal. So that's one of those things that really lifts you up.
Yeah, it's always those few magic moments that you have where you're like at a weird time and you're just like, okay, that was pretty cool.
I'll keep it going, I guess.
It's like, why do people really want to talk to me? It's like, cool. I mean, thank you, but like, I don't know, people want to talk to you about stuff. It's still weird to me.
It is, and you see it in daily life. You're not at a craft beer festival. You're not at a tasting. You're not at a bar where your beer is being served. You're in a random spot that just wouldn't make sense that people would recognize you. And I think that's what makes it rewarding. Like I said, just random places. Gage, I want to talk a little bit about, think about things, because I'm a few gulps into this. And I know you said, it wasn't hitting the spots that you'd want it to hit, but what I like about this is that even though that guava taste is forefront, there's still a good amount of bitterness to it that doesn't make it overly sweet. And I think that's why I'm still going back to it and refilling my glass, because it's hitting the note for me, because I like bitter. I like not the overly fruited, sweeted IPAs. This kind of is very well balanced, again, with just enough fruit to enough of the bittering hops.
So people really dig that, and I'm happy that people enjoy it. It's not that I think it's bad. I don't think it's bad or
No.
that it doesn't hit the mark. It's just for me personally as a drinker, because at the end of the day, if I have anything handy, it is a lot of my own beer. And so that's just one that I
get out of here.
I'll have 2 4-packs of before it's over, whereas Love Your Friends, 2 cases.
Indeed.
But that was a healthy Simcoe in the kettle. And yeah, I mean, we otherwise left it for the fruit, but
you've alluded to a lot of, like influences and stuff that you're into. So what would be, some of the, and I'm not trying to go away from your questions at the end there, Steve. I'm just going to stay away from the styles for a moment. But what would be your biggest influence throughout all of this, the process since last year to now?
I think that it's Grimm. I think Grimm is my influence most of all. There is certainly something to be said for trying to actively push the envelope. Hop Butcher does that as well in Chicago, and we're super close. We made, Big for Your Boots, which we made right as quarantine happened.
I saw that post, yeah.
They came out here in February to make that beer. We made a beer with them called Thunderbolt, which was all Sabro in January. And business overall, it's Grimm. They're weird. They are, very fun and whimsical and just sort of doing what seems to strike them most of the time. But Hop Butcher, name is a good key. They're hop geeks.
Yep.
They care a lot about what hops they're using and not just slam dunking Citra Galaxy every single time, even though they certainly could.
Yeah, you also participated in the Altogether collaboration, worldwide collaboration. So that was a recipe obviously handed down from Other Half. Did you do that with Torch and Crown, or was that something else that you did something different with them? How did that process go?
Sure. So we brewed that at Torch and Crown.
Okay.
And because that beer is so funny, or the recipe is so funny, because there are lots of breweries out there who still hadn't unlocked the key to New England IPA.
Yep.
And they got that recipe from Other Half, which, if you read it, is incredibly simple. It's Pilsner or 2-row. It may even have said, take your pick. Oats, flaked wheat, C20 or something like that. It was an incredibly simple recipe. The hops were, it was 5 different hops. It was not complicated. And then, open on the yeast, something London 3-ish if you wanted to make a hazy. But some breweries really leaned into the Other Half piece, and they were pretended as if Sam and Matt flew to Ames, Iowa to make the beer with them. At the end of the day, I said, okay, I get what we're doing here. I'll hit the ABV target. We added more flaked grains, subbed for Pilsner malt because I used Pilsner as my base instead of 2-row, and subbed a chunk of the Mosaic for HBC 586.
And that is that because you had it on hand, or was Mosaic harder to get? What was the?
I personally really don't like Mosaic.
Oh, okay.
I have a hardy contract for next year, and every day that passes, I regret it more. I don't want it. I don't like Mosaic very much. But I wanted to cut down on the noise that Mosaic would give to that recipe, so I added something that I thought I would like much more, and it gave something to that recipe. So, and people, one of the Other Half employees, who I won't name, said they liked it better than every other version other than their own.
Ooh, big ups.
So I'll take it.
And I'm sure they've had probably a lot of them. I saw a lot of Instagram accounts that are just the Altogether beers from all over the world as much as they can find, and they compare them. They compare and contrast how the different breweries take the same recipe and then brew it to their liking.
Yep.
But the bigger thing, Gage, was that the fact that they made over $1 million for the hospitality workers and professionals. Now, my question is, so the sales of that beer for you don't have a tasting room. So was that just a donation back to, is there a fund? How is that working if you're not a tasting room?
Right. So they let you pick your charity.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Or organization. And some people, someone in California, they had to lay off their whole front of house staff.
Mm-hmm.
So they just donated that to the tip pool for their front of house staff.
And see, I thought that's what it was, but I didn't realize they were putting out, you can donate to a charity, or there's a fund where you can donate that would distribute for everybody. Everybody
got to pick whatever they wanted to do. This other half didn't centralize anything.
Okay.
As far as the charitable aspect is concerned. But I waited until other half announced who they were going to donate to, which was the Restaurant Workers Community Foundation,
mm-hmm.
which is a large charity that has been very active during COVID. And so that was who I donated to.
Very cool.
And we donated the equivalent of $1 per 4-pack.
Nice.
We don't make a lot of money selling our beer into distribution, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was like we did the best we could with it, but we also always donate to charity. So that's the missing piece we haven't talked about with the business, but that every month we donate a portion of the proceeds to charity, period.
So what are your typical charities that you're donating to?
So we've done the ACLU, we've done Planned Parenthood, and then for a period we got, at the beginning of the year, I tried to be very focused on New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So we did Make the Road New York, which is an immigration-focused charity.
Yep.
We were going to do, Chris Maestro, who owns Beer Wax, was trying to start a charity
mm-hmm.
For hip-hop mental health in the local music scene in Brooklyn. That didn't work out. It was too complicated. So he requested that I donate to the Kings Against Violence Initiative, which is a Brooklyn-based anti-violence education organization.
Cool.
Restaurant workers. In the wake of George Floyd, we donated to Reclaim the Block, which is a specific Minneapolis-based organization. We are doing Campaign Zero this month, which is for to reduce police violence. We did the Equal Justice Initiative, which is anti-police brutality, pro equal rights, voting rights, etc. So I care a lot about social, racial justice, women's rights, LGBTQ rights. Because it's funny. I think about this. There's a million hills that you can stand on and shout about, and arts and education and youth and illness tends not to be mine. Social ills tend to be mine, but I wish more people were doing that sort of thing. But yeah, we're donating every month.
So you're changing up the charity every month?
Every month we're doing someone new. Yep.
Very cool.
That's awesome, man.
Joe, I got a quick question because the All Together came to mind. I know you guys didn't participate, correct?
Correct.
But I know Ryan at 27A participated. Do you know how they distributed their funds, or?
If I'm not mistaken, he used it for the people at his tasting room staff that he laid off.
Good. All right. Yeah. So I was pretty sure that's.
If you've been there, his batches are literally 3-barrel batches.
Right.
So it wasn't very much.
But it was. Yeah. But it was also.
Towards the couple staff members that he laid off.
Yeah, very small place, Gage, 27A. I don't know if you've been out to it yet.
They sent me edible glitter.
Yes, they did a Tiger King. They did a Tiger King glitter beer.
I feel like we didn't get enough mileage out of
glitter
Tiger King beers.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. Do we need more mileage out of Joe Exotic? I don't think so.
No.
What a fucking shit show! Oh god, it's the best.
I think I'm gonna make a new statement. I'm gonna call Joe from WME Works Joe Exotic, because look how his hair has grown.
Shit.
Look at that back. Wow,
yeah,
you've
bro,
really.
He's an animal right now.
Look at that. He
looks like one of the wild Samoans from wrestling.
Yes. Yes.
How many tiger big cats do you own, Joe?
In Lindenhurst.
0, but I am getting a dog at the end of April.
Are you finally getting the fucking dog?
Finally getting that fucking dog.
It was that weird like terrier breed, right?
Not a terrier, it's a pointer.
There you go.
But yes, they were born the 29th. I will be picking it up sometime around August 24th.
What was this breed again, please?
A wire-haired pointing Griffon.
Wow.
That's it. God damn, that is specific, sir.
And see, I got to
Good
do a
for you.
DNA test on my dog because it was a rescue dog, and everyone has their own opinions on what she is. And most recently, I've had a bunch of people saying there's pointer in her because she is literally at the squirrels, at the birds. Her tail goes straight back when she sees a bug or anything. It's got those tendencies of what the pointers are. So of course, a lot of hounds, some pit, some terrier, everything is in there. But
does she run away from loud noises like my dog? Is that a breed specific function or?
Yeah, that's called the puss dog.
That's what I have.
Yeah. Gage,
very aggressive towards the Amazon driver, but other than that.
Gage, did Nelson have a hard time with the fireworks in the neighborhood?
Terrible time.
Really?
Dude, I got my dog like fucking doggy Xanax to try and get him through the
he does CBD.
Yeah, there you go.
Nelson
You know what?
hits
There you go, Pete. You're missing out on the CBD. That's what it is.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
I had to get this fucker doggy Xanax to try and get him through July.
And here I am at 8 o'clock at night on the 4th of July walking my dog around the neighborhood as like 3 blocks away they're shooting off Grucci, and she was hiding under a bush for a minute. I'm like, what are you doing, stupid? Come on, let's go. Get out of here.
Dude,
It's just
someone
fireworks.
tried to engage me in this like very lengthy conversation while I was just trying to like walk my dog in the 4th of July. Like, look, I just need this guy to shit like today because he won't until like tomorrow afternoon if I don't get him out now.
Yeah.
He's so deathly afraid of what's going on.
Joe, you're lucky you're getting your dog after the 4th of July.
Yeah,
You have a whole year to prepare.
Part of it's a business decision too. I mean, how awesome is it gonna be to walk into the fucking meaderies and be like a dog there?
Yeah. How old is it at this point? Do you know?
I think it's 3 weeks old today.
Oh boy, you got a lot.
I'm gonna get it at 8 weeks.
Do you have enough
I have
time to
so
train
many
this
dog
thing?
questions for you.
Yes, I've actually gone down the rabbit hole of training sporting dogs.
Okay.
Sometimes when it was slow during quarantine and waiting for people to pick stuff up, I literally just watch training
YouTube videos. Yeah.
Oh god, yeah. I follow this breeder that does that breeds German short-haired pointers.
Yeah.
So like, I'm like a goddamn professional going into this.
Do you watch that Zach guy? And how to
Zach
train your
guy?
dog? I don't forget his last name. It's Zach something.
Nope,
Gage, do you know who I'm talking
I
about?
need to watch some more. My dog is very dumb and poorly trained.
Oh.
Part of that's on you, man.
Yeah, he was so good.
It's that time of the show that Steve asks his most important questions. that you have.
Ooh, it's time for Steve Pominski asks the important questions.
All right, Gage. So I ask every person that comes on, what was the first that you can remember gateway beer that really got you into craft beer? What is your favorite style of beer?
Okay, hang on. You got to ask these one at a time.
Yeah, there is a lot there. You have to unpack that.
You can't line them up.
It's not that much, guys.
Yeah, no, it is.
Number
What was the
one.
gateway?
Good.
Number one.
Yeah.
What was my gateway beer? I know exactly. I didn't drink until I was 20.
Wow.
And I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings in the Broadway Mall in Hicksville.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Wait, are you from Long Island?
No.
So-
But I went to Hofstra.
So when did you go to Hofstra? Hold on, how old are you? I'll tell you, I'm 40. Are you close or far? 4 years ahead or behind?
He's a pup.
Okay, so I went to Hofstra as well for broadcasting, audio and video. I was on WHRU.
I buy that.
I-
Given where we are right now. But I worked at Buffalo Wild Wings and
Okay.
they did craft beer, and I didn't drink. And one day during pumpkin season, a bottle of pumpkin got sent back, and they poured it out for the staff, and people were like, "Ooh, it tastes like pumpkin! Oh my God, wow, I love this!" And I said, "What do you mean beer doesn't taste like anything? Beer tastes like nothing. Beer is bad. You drink it to get drunk." And they said, "No, beer is like stuff sometimes."
Beer is like stuff sometimes.
Yep.
Bro, that's the name of a beer right there.
Beer is stuff sometimes.
And so I learned about craft beer. And so the next day I went to Hicksville Beer and Soda, which was for a long time the only place in Nassau County that had our beer, because Andrew and I are still friends to this day.
Yes, Hicksville, also home of Local to Locals, Andrew.
Yes. Yeah.
Andrew's the best. Andrew's a good dude.
He's a super nice dude.
Yeah.
Bought a 6-pack of beer, drank a sip of each, dumped them down the drain. But I was a 2-minute drive away, so eventually I got a handle on craft beer. And so pumpkin beer is the reason that I'm here today.
And actually, Pumpkin is probably one of the better of the pumpkin beers out there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you're going to actually drink one. Right. Okay, so what's your
Wait,
favorite
Gage, I have a follow-up question really quick. Gage, how many rims did you have to do at Buffalo Wild Wings for those pumpkins?
Oh, I wasn't a bartender.
Oh, God, the fucking cinnamon sugar.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have to, but boy, I cannot imagine how many they were doing.
So, Gage, I've been a bartender, well, was a bartender for 20 years. So I can't even start to begin to calculate the number of times since the rim was a thing, how many rims I've actually sugared, and how many times I've had to teach people how not to do it so it doesn't completely encapsulate your hand in honey or sugar. So when you're drinking, you can actually enjoy it like a margarita. If you ever had a margarita with salt, the salt doesn't drip. It shouldn't be dripping down the side and getting all over your hands. It should be sitting there on the rim, and people just don't get it. So sorry, I had to interject.
It's a terrible thing either way. I don't want to sugar the rim in class.
Go ahead, Steve. Ask your second part.
What is your favorite style?
I would say Pilsner. Super wide scope. I love a nice crispy beer. Is it an Italian Pilsner like I've made? Is it
crispy boy?
Right.
Crispy boy.
Whatever.
Who do you think is making a good Pilsner right now?
Oxbow.
Other than you, obviously.
Ooh, Oxbow.
Oxbow.
I was just there, man.
They introduced Seaworthy. They may not have introduced Seaworthy this year. May have been around last year, but so I work at Beer Karma in Williamsburg a couple days a week because owning a brewery at this stage doesn't pay the bills.
Nah.
And
that was going to be my follow-up question later. Like, what are you doing other than this? Because there's got to be something.
We got Seaworthy, Northern Lager, and Grand Royal, which is a Helles. I know a Helles isn't a Pilsner. Don't fight me. But they're just killing the lager game.
Yep.
Phenomenal, crispy, easy. Just so good.
Oh. Okay, now the last part of this question is, what, other than your own beer, what is your go-to beer now if you happen to see it somewhere?
You're not going to like the answer.
Is it High Life?
I don't have
It
to
is.
like anything.
It is.
Get the fuck out of here, I guess.
100% High Life.
There's nothing wrong
Miller
with
High
that.
Life.
I love High Life.
I was going with
love
I'm
corn
gonna go with
lagers.
PBR.
Corn and rice lagers fucking kill it for me because all I make is hoppy shit.
Mm-hmm.
See, I thought you were going to say
I'm over my
PBR.
days. All I want to drink is lagers now. I
don't think I've ever had a Miller High Life.
You never had Miller High
Yeah.
Life?
Come
What
on.
fucking rock are you living under?
What, a rock in Farmingdale?
He doesn't live in Brooklyn, dude.
No.
We drank so much Miller High Life filled in the meadery, like so much Miller High Life.
Well, now I feel challenged. I'll have to stop by with a 6-pack.
There you go. I've been drinking
Let me know when you're coming. I'll get a bottle of Aperol, and we'll make you drink Aperol in that too.
Ooh.
What is
Challenge accepted.
Fucking
Don't even know what that is.
Yep. Don't worry.
I'll come
No,
down on
go
my
ahead.
my
go.
Segway down
Very
Broadway.
interesting.
Miller
I,
High Life Aperol is the
I just took off of August, so I think I'll find time.
Yeah, there you go. I've been drinking Sam 76. I've gotten like a taste
like
for like a nice outdoor hot summer day lager. It's just been one of those. And again, we host a craft beer podcast, and as much as I love the IPAs, drink heavy, multiple adjunct beers in 90-degree heat. It's tough. You want something light and refreshing and crisp.
I'm
So-
with you on that lager. That Garby's Point one we had recently. I thought it was
Yes.
fucking
Very
great.
good.
And last time I drank 100 Double Lights.
Dub Lights.
Have you been?
That's a good one. I
And
enjoy that
if you
beer
get
too.
a chance, Dub Light Lime is wonderful too.
Ooh. Can you take your regular Dub Light and put a lime in it, and it's the same
No,
experience?
it's a variant.
I know.
They made a variant of Dub Light called Dub Light Lime. It's something you can drink a fruit of.
Have they gotten the cease and desist letter yet? that
Not
they're-
yet.
Not yet. It's
That thing
coming.
was pretty fucking ridiculous.
I am actually surprised they have not, because it's adamant. It's like, yeah, fuck you, and I love that.
It seems like a failure on their part that they haven't gotten the cease and desist.
They literally went after every single big like
Yep.
Bud Light, Coors Light, like all the big brands on that
Oh
list.
yeah, there's a mountain in the background on the
Yep.
label. and
Yeah, it's the fucking best. I love it.
it's good.
Gage, before when you were talking about one of the questions or the answers to Steve's questions, you reminded me a lot of John Mulaney. You really have that delivery system of John Mulaney. I don't know how to explain it, but I was like, oh, what does he remind me of right now? Like say I worked in Governor's Comedy Club. That's where we usually have our show at the studio in Govs. And so I've seen John live on stage, and I've met him backstage, and he has these mannerisms about him. And I get to know a lot of the comics' mannerisms by giving them drinks and serving them, and again, being a bartender. But that just stood out immediately. Anyone ever tell you anything about?
Yeah, I've gotten that before. Yeah, he's because deadpan and dry and take those pauses.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
I like the bit about fucking your dad stopping at McDonald's and getting just a black coffee.
I've spent so much time, and so this is leading up to this question, Gage. I spent a lot of time in quarantine watching comedy specials on Netflix and anything I can.
Thinking
just because,
about your day job.
Yeah. Oh my God, my day job's a teacher, so I'm off. But I can't fathom what's going to happen when we go back in September, if we go back. Anyway, I've been trying just to laugh again because there hasn't been comedy, or there hasn't been live shows, and there hasn't been this social interaction between people. What has really evolved here over the last few months with your brand that you are both disappointed maybe in, or like very surprised that it's happened?
Well, it's a tough one. The need to be, so we've always been reliant on the internet, right? We've always been a brand that was good at and focused on marketing. But it always got to be something we were good at that was secondary to a real life experience. So it didn't matter if we were posting every day and we had this great tone and people learned about us every single day. They could come out to a bar and go to an event and meet me or meet the dog or experience this thing that I wanted them to experience. Now I have to lean harder into that thing, which is fine, but I can't back it up with the real life experience that I built this brand to be. I knew this wasn't going to be a brand with a permanent tap room in the middle of Bushwick that everybody would, queue up for cans at. I know we're not that. I don't want to be that. I wanted it to be this weird, fun, goofy thing, and I can't. It is not safe nor smart to execute on the thing that made this the most fun.
Right.
And that was always the part that I worked the hardest on. I mean, I had never, when we did the emo night after opening Bash, I dumped a lot of money into that venue. I pulled strings to pull licenses to get beers in there. I was there till 4 a.m. cleaning. I learned how to DJ and did a DJ set.
Nice.
I put so much into that 4-hour event, and I was so happy to do so. I loved it. It was so much fun. I was tearing my hair out the whole time, running all over, but it was so much fun. But it was this physical, real realization of the thing that NonSequitur is on the internet. And people can't have that now. I can't share with them because also people are doing virtual happy hours and they're doing virtual collabs and they're whatever. putting it on the internet, but it's not the same.
No.
I don't like it. I don't like that. And I'm not gonna make cheap the experience I want to give just so that I can give it to you. So we've always been the internet focused brand, but now I can't back it up with the thing that matters.
Right. It was always an internet idea, but then you wanted to have that real life experience to go along with it to complete the experience.
Right. Because I was never just a half-assed, half-cracked idea. It was never just that thing. It was everything, but now it can't be.
One question I don't think we've asked yet. How did the name come about?
How did the name?
Yeah, NonSequitur.
So when I was still living in Brooklyn before I was in Chicago for 6 months when I came to NonSequitur, but living in Brooklyn, I had the name Crooked Tooth. I filed the incorporation, and it was named for Nelson's bad teeth because he's got terrible teeth. And then after I filed it and I was working through trying to contract in Chicago, my coworker said, "Hey man, I was just Googling around and I discovered Crooked Tooth is a name that's already taken."
Really?
In Tempe, somewhere in Arizona.
Arizona.
And they're a brew pub and will never overlap. But they had the name. And it was just like, I was Crooked Tooth Beer Company, they're Crooked Tooth Brewery, you know? And I just didn't search the right combination of words. Their SEO wasn't very good. So I sat down, pissed off in that moment, and said, I need to come up with a name that is not like anything that came before it or anything that's going to come after it. Something that's super unique. And I had, these like floating pieces of the idea that it would be weird and that it would be fun and unusual. And a non sequitur is a phrase or a sentence fragment that is unrelated to what came before or comes after it. And so it was a perfect, moment where it was like, oh, I need a non sequitur. That's the name. I can use that name. And people, there's nothing close to it. And people can't pronounce it or spell it, but it is a good name.
I misspelled it several times when I was reaching out to beer distributors to see if they had products in stock.
That's okay.
That's it. As long as they get the point across, it's still the same thing.
Even if you fuck it up super badly, there's no brewery's name close to ours.
Good point.
Correct.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's fair.
The Q does it for you. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Anything with a QU combo.
Yeah.
QAnon? No.
There it is.
Anybody?
No,
Isn't there a hand signal? No? Okay, good.
We're already over our time limit. Unfortunately, we started late because of Zoom technical issues. I don't want to get cut off on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll probably hang out for a few minutes afterwards. But I do want to say goodbye to everyone on Facebook and on YouTube, and of course on our home station, GovsRadio.com. Gage, I super appreciate you being on the show tonight. Thank God we got you on, and especially since
Love the beers, man.
Yeah, man. Since you don't have to travel, it's perfect. We got a cool look into. You wouldn't have brought Nelson out to hang out with us at the studio, so I'm glad we got to see him. And of course, we got to see your MTV Crib style background there, which is awesome. There he is. Hey, buddy.
The man.
He is sleepy.
How old is he?
He's 5.5.
Oh, so he is an older guy. All right, cool. Well trained, not a problem. Good around other dogs. Everything well socialized.
He's fine.
Yeah.
He's not great. He's fine.
Okay, that's what I'm hoping for my dog. Just fine, as long as it's fine.
Right.
Again, we appreciate everyone for tuning in. Joe, thanks a lot, man, for stopping in. I actually asked Joe Gage to come in as a mystery guest. I thought maybe he'd come in a mask or something, but he just blown through the Zoom and just put.
Well, now I'm disappointed there wasn't a mask.
Right.
There's nothing subtle about me.
Hey, that's true. He just crashes through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. Hello, I'm Joe.
Is that a fat joke?
Oh no, it was an oh yeah joke.
Oh, see how you turned that.
Yeah. Kids want to go have fun. Oh yeah.
You're offending me.
Oh come on, no.
I'm very curious about this dog, so I want to DM when the dog is in. So
yes, when you.
I got to find out if every dog hates my dog.
No dogs hate your dog. Hudson's a good boy.
It'll be the meanery every day. So that first week, you know how busy it will be simply the fact because I got a puppy?
It will be.
Ryan and Melissa's dog at 27A, like growled at my fucking dog when I went in there. So he's apparently, my dog is at least 2 or 3 times the size of their dog, and he was very put off by Hudson.
That's because as soon as he walked in the dog, some dog yelled, "Look at this asshole!" And he's like, "Oh, come on! I'm just trying to hear with my buddy. Have some beer." Gage, do you let Nelson taste any beer? No.
Good
not even like a little pinky little taste, nothing.
You're really, I mean, you're supposed to objectively, but he's gotten spilled on. I mean, Nelson, funny enough, has been had drinks spilled on him by more celebrities than most people will meet.
Really? Wait, I want to get to the bottom of this. Who has spilled drinks on Nelson?
So we lived in LA for a while, so hard to, not run into celebrities.
Right.
But Tim Heidecker, the comedian, the actor who plays Jorge on Broad City, a bunch of people have spilled drinks on him.
Huh. Interesting. Well, that's what you get for being out in the public and being around under the tables and kind of hanging out.
He's a very social guy. So he's gotten plenty of booze in his life,
Good for him.
And I'm looking forward to the day where Pete and I can finally bring our dogs out to breweries again. And our children, so we have an excuse to leave without worrying about. I don't want to bring the kids.
Just the dog.
Just the dog. I'm just saying right now we can't do anything because everything is a head count. So hard to do that with kids and dogs and all that other stuff. Joe, you have your outside setup, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you guys, what did you guys do for the New York State food issue?
It's so fucking annoying.
Just noodles, man. Chips.
Did you do chips?
We're a winery, guys. We're classy.
Yeah.
We have Little Sargento cheese and nut things.
Nice.
We're classy.
We're $1.50. So
wait a second. My wife saw the post.
That beard screams classy, Joe.
Hey guys, we're a fucking winery.
It's true.
I know you are.
Joe, so my wife saw the post from, you said you had your New York State legitimized food, and she goes, what did he go? Did he go to 7-Eleven and just raid 7-Eleven for the charcuterie?
BJ's.
Oh, it was BJ's. All right, good. I've seen those things at BJ's.
I got fooled by Dubco's post. I saw it was like pommes frites, $1. I'm like, I get an order of fries for $1 at Dubco? That seems great.
I was talking to Chris about this. My favorite part is that they had the pig roast or the pina colada.
Yep.
They had a bunch of pineapples around. So like the pineapple for $2 for market price was my favorite part of that.
That's classic.
Pineapple for $2.
He also did mustard and crackers, which got me because it was like literally right from the New York State guidelines as I read the rule that morning.
We have one of our many messages with Greg and Gerard from Smallcraft.
Yes.
And we were talking about handing out fucking mustard sandwiches to people.
Just
mustard here.
Cheese and crackers.
Sandwich.
But I saw the post from Paul at Ghost was just without saying like this is how we're getting around this silly rule. It was this is how you're getting around this silly rule. You order as a group and order one food item.
Yeah. I'm like start a tab.
That's it. That's the key.
You have to start a
tab. You're good.
So
because it's supposed to be per transaction, and if they order you have to go back and prove that this person bought a couple things. Like, you start a fucking tab and get $1.50 fucking cheese thing, and we're good.
Right.
Like, don't make this harder on us.
So Pete and I were discussing on the phone for at length what the idea was behind this, and again we're 4 minutes out before we get cut off, so I just want to wrap that up quickly. The idea makes sense. I get what we're trying to do here, but for the breweries to be held to that just seemed a little silly in that you're just saying, here's a loophole. You can guys get around this. Then why even make it applicable to the breweries? What would be the reasoning?
It was sprung on us Thursday night.
Right, and it came into effect
welcome to the
Friday
weekend,
morning.
guys.
The reasoning is, there's not it is alcohol service, right?
Right.
So like that, because there are plenty of different subsets of alcohol serving businesses that the state could get into the weeds about. But what Joe can do, what we can do, what is like easy is working around it in the context of chips or a sandwich for the table. But what it makes very difficult or prevents is these like the bar in Williamsburg or LIC who's just having a club.
Yeah, I saw that.
Because now they can justify busting those people.
Right. And I
weren't
saw
even pretending to play by the rules.
I saw in there like something saying bottle service. So I get that concept. I saw that bottle service and I'm like, oh, that's what they're going after. Those places that are really trying to pack in a club indoors and not really try to go by the rules, which I get. But I felt like it could have been distinguished a little better, saying, okay, breweries, wineries, cideries, meaderies, they could do what they have to do, but then the clubs or bars, they really have to, obey by the rules. Otherwise, we're going to come down hard on them.
It was just easier for them to take the SLA to be like, hey, everyone with a liquor license has to do this.
Right.
Yep.
Instead of saying, you're okay, you're not okay, you're good, like divide up. It was just easier for them to say, you all have to do this.
Flat.
It's not intended to be a rule that does anything good. It's a rule that's easily enforceable.
So
for the sake of we want to say we're doing something.
Public safety.
Before we become California again.
Right. Exactly.
And even there's so many like little pieces like the outdoor seating, if you're putting up a temporary structure that they decided at like 8 p.m. one night, okay, tomorrow it needs to be flush with the ground or you need to level it.
Really? When did that come out?
Early last week.
Really?
Early last week.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
It could only have 2 walls. The whole thing couldn't be walled off.
They were supposed to be removable / removed every night, even though that's fucking impossible. But it's like they're just setting out these, carte blanche, everybody rules so that they can enforce it for the people who are fucking up.
Right. So they're really not trying to go after you guys, but they're just putting it out there so they can enforce the rules more properly.
Well, I do know that this past, and Joey knows this past weekend, SLA was out on the island and they were checking. They were going in 3 at a time and they would all order drinks and not want food. Or they would just be looking if people were standing at the bar that shouldn't have been social distancing. So they are checking. They are in the area. They're out and about.
And it's almost surprising how much manpower is going into this. That's a lot of people to go out and do those spot checks across Long Island.
It's becoming a cash grab.
Is it though?
It's also becoming a cash grab.
For who though?
For that, they're gonna start finding people like.
Well, because they're not making any tax revenue because there's nothing, no economy left.
So Chris from Dubgo, again, you went to Chris, I talked to him the most, turned away 5 people at least on Saturday who wouldn't buy a $1 food item.
Come on, just buy the $1 food item.
That's not just the SLA going for them. That's also people who refuse to do something because it's of any inconvenience.
Right, exactly. But just buy the $1 chips for Christ's sake.
And you don't know that guy. You don't know that's not the SLA, too.
Right, and as a bartender or as an owner,
I think a $10,000 fine because you won't take $1 fucking bag of chips.
Then you lose out on the $30 tab. Big deal.
And we're doing our best
to
try to make this as cheap and inconvenient as possible because we have to.
Right.
It's not like I'm making you buy a $7 fucking food item.
Right. Just buy the bag of chips.
Like we're trying to make ourselves, compliant with the fact that we're trying to make this as cheap as we can for you.
Exactly.
It's hard enough for everybody now.
We're trying. Everyone's trying their best, and we're trying to all stay within the rules, to obey by the rules, so we can continue on with a sense of normalcy as best that can be.
Yes.
Joe, give us the big plug about WA Meatworks.
Well, our new production facility should be up and running by the end of September. So we'll be able to get stuff into distribution. That's like our main goal right now. Our 10-barrel unis are coming. We bought a small canning line. Yeah, we're like
what canning line did you get?
We actually got a small tabletop wild goose.
Oh, the Gosling?
Yeah.
Let me know how that goes.
Yeah.
I can't wait. But everyone else got the same idea too, so we're not getting it until November. because it wasn't $100 grand. So like, this is affordable. We can do this.
Right.
it looks awesome. Like it looks super cool. So we bought one.
And give us the big plug on social media. Where can people find WA Meadworks and get in contact with you?
WA Meadworks on Instagram, on Facebook. I guess. See, marketing is not my thing. I'm really good at talking to you when you come into the tasting room.
Indeed.
Gage, so you got a lot of things coming up. You got 3 beers coming in the next few weeks. Where can people, for one, follow you on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and, of course, where do you think when these beers are released, we're going to be able to find them?
Sure. So follow us at NonSequitur Beer, wherever you like to do following. We're easy enough, as long as you can spell sequitur. But there's not a lot of competition for that.
That's not me. That leaves me out.
Yeah.
So, not as inclusive as I needed to be.
Listen,
Sorry.
If you get as far as SEQ, I think you're
done.
That.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. You got it.
And then so we're packaging those 3 beers next week.
Nice.
We will be releasing them Saturday, August 1st at Keg and Lantern Red Hook. We'll be there all day. And then by the following week, they will see statewide distribution all the way up to Buffalo.
Wow.
So if your shop has had it, they will probably get it.
Nice.
That would be my assessment, especially if you're closer to the city. We're going to do a little bit of allocating so that enough remains in the city this time. But if they've gotten it, they'll get it. They'll probably get it again.
If you send some out to Andrew at Hicksville, let us know.
He'll get it.
Yeah, he'll get
Andrew
it.
will
All right.
get it.
I'm sorry, Andrew, yes.
Hopscotch, also, I know he's your buddy.
Yeah.
Those guys are the best too.
Yeah.
I was actually texting Mark during this.
Oh, were you? Yeah.
He messaged me earlier when he saw the Lupo Max post that I made today, and he was like, "Yo, gimme."
That sounds like Mark.
Yeah.
I want all that. Mark made a trip a few weeks ago.
Like, hey man, thank you for giving me beer.
Yeah.
Thank you for allowing me to sell your product. That's Mark. He's the nicest guy in the world.
Mark did a New York State travel tour. Every other week he would go up and just travel to any breweries he could and bring them back. So he would have it for the customers down here that didn't want to make the trip or didn't have a brewery that was shipping statewide, and made it part of his mantra, his morals of the bottle shop. And there's not too many here on Long Island, so for us that's our one-stop shop.
He seems like a great guy. I know that he's new-ish, but
yeah,
I mean that's the difference maker. Everybody can get beer that's locally distributed, but if you take advantage of the fact that it's made in New York State so it can be sold in New York State, that's a huge differentiator. It's great for everybody, great for the local breweries. There's so many great breweries across New York State who just aren't going to get down to you.
Yep, exactly.
So that's awesome that he does that.
It's a win-win for everybody, especially around us where he's 10 minutes away and on my way home from work.
There you go.
This is the Wort with Mike and Pete, GovsRadio.com. Thanks for everyone for checking in. Of course, Simone. Hold on.
Leave him out.
This Wort, he's so quick to pick up on the fact that I'm going to say MPS because that's the easiest way to do it instead of saying really 3 names in a row. MPS, it's the Wort with MPS, Mike, Pete, and Steve. So, again, check out NonSequitur on their Instagram. Of course, SEQ will get you right to where you need to go. And you can find out all the latest releases. Also, I guess even beer menus will kind of redirect you to where his beer is being sold. And, of course, we want to thank everyone on Facebook, on YouTube, and, of course, on our home station, GovsRadio.com, for tuning in. Go ahead, Steve, last words.
Say no to coprophagy.
What the?
Sure.
What is that?
And each one of you guys owns dogs, and Joe, you're gonna own one real soon. Coprophagy is when dogs eat their own crap.
Oh no!
My dog doesn't do that.
Say no to it.
No, don't.
Fair enough.
Oh.
Fair enough. But thanks for putting that in my head.
Yeah. Now I got to worry about it.
Well, now I'm gonna go.
Okay. Pete, last words. What do you got?
Don't forget to have your pet spayed or neutered, whether or not it eats its own shit.
Yeah, exactly. This is the Wort with Mike, Pete, and Steve. GovsRadio.com. We out.
First off, it was 3 hours.
Oh my God.
Dude, I had to piss.
Beer for 3 hours.
It's beer. There's